Well, guys, that was a dramatic Qatar Grand Prix, wasn't it? For the race on Sunday today was, all about the tyres. Perez saying that the tyres would be unsafe if we just let the teams decide and go all out. So they were only allowed a maximum of 18 laps on a set of tyres. So if you'd done 3 laps in qualifying on them, you're only allowed 15 in the race. And that caused some confusion, especially if you're watching the race, wasn't it? Of who was where, but it was action throughout, wasn't it? From that, is this something that they'll carry on through the other races potentially? I doubt it. I know some people sort of really enjoyed that, didn't they? Having this mandatory 3 stops, because the drivers were flat out. Everybody that's spoken after that race, all drivers have said, that was really, really tough. It was 57 laps of qualifying laps pretty much, wasn't it? So it's kind of what we really want to see. But do we really want to see it doctored and sort of manipulated a little bit in that way? Probably not. If we can get tyres that just drop away after sort of 18 laps, I think that'll probably be the best way to go. Rather than us saying, you're only allowed 18 laps. It was all too obvious when cars were coming in. There wasn't an awful lot of strategy at play. There was some potentially, but it was quite clear of what everyone was doing. But it was so hard to follow in that back with so many stops of who was where and who was yet to pit and how long they had left on their tyres before they could pit. So as trying to follow the race, I think as a fan, it wasn't the best. But it was action, wasn't it? At the start, the 2 Mercedes coming together. Lewis Hamilton on that softs only made it to the outside of turn 1, didn't he? Got clipped, or he clipped his teammate. I think that was Lewis's fault there, really. George was either he went and took Verstappen out, or he took his teammate on out. So I can kind of see, how that occurred. It's so tight at the front, and Lewis going for that second place, and potentially he was on a run onto Verstappen, wasn't he? Who started on the mediums, and we could have seen Lewis lead that. It would have been interesting to see how that soft tyre would have played out. There was no other safety cars apart from that on lap 1 from the incident of Lewis to clear his car. But yeah, it was action all the way through at the back, wasn't it? I mean, at one point it looked like Alex Albon would be on some solid points. He was 7th, 8th place. Then was Bottas. It was all over the place, wasn't it? We even seen Alex lead the race for a lap. It was just, crazy race. So let's get on to the 3 good and the 3 bad of this weekend. And it's a double podium, and it's got to start with that for the 3 good with Oscar Piastri in his P2 finish. He beats his teammate, doesn't he? Over a full race distance. He managed that gap quite well. Although a bit of a downside, and I'm going to go for that under one of the 3 bads as one of the downsides, is McLaren calling that race off between the pair of them. Really disappointing to see. I can see on the other hand why they would do that. Look what happened to the Mercedes pair, where they just have that kind of let them race but do it fair. We've seen the Ferraris do it and do it well in Monza, and I think it's just us fans that lose out when they call that kind of strategy. It makes sense for a team. They've got a double podium, but it's a shame that we didn't see Piastri and Norris really battle that out. Norris did come on the radio and say, look, why are we doing this? Why did you do that, McLaren? It just sucked the life out of the race a little bit at that point, because that was the key battle, wasn't it, for second place. But yeah, McLaren are on it, haven't they? Fantastic weekend. They started way down 6th and 10th, so to get a double on the podium, they were helped out by the 2 Mercedes, weren't they? But yeah, and then on to the second of the 2 good, or the 3 good, is the Alfa Romeo outfit. A double points finish for them. Valtteri Bottas, he finished in P8. Zhou Guanyu promoted to P9 after penalties for Perez. So fantastic result from them, isn't it? 2 cars in the points. They've done really well this weekend, and to finally come away some points, that'll be hot on the heels of now Williams with them points. It's quite tight. I think Williams have got enough of a buffer on them though. but it gives them a shout, doesn't it? And they're tight in there with Haas as well, who were disappointing this weekend. But what a fantastic job and brilliant points for the team. The pair of them, 8th and 9th. I don't think they could have got really much more out of that car in the race today. And they played brilliantly. And then the final of that is Max Verstappen with his win. He had to work hard for that race, didn't he? The McLarens weren't fast enough ultimately to cause him too much trouble, but he was only leading like by 5 or 6 seconds, which actually, to be fair, we've seen him smash the field by about 20-30 seconds most races. So, the McLarens were right in the hunt for this weekend, and Max pulled it off, P1 in pole on Sunday, and a win to go home in the main race for his championship that he's wrapped up this weekend. 3 times world champion Max Verstappen. He's been absolutely brilliant, and that leads us on to his teammate, who's been absolutely shocking when we come to the 3 bad, because that's where I'm going to start. He was lapped. Perez was by Max Verstappen this weekend on the race. It just keeps getting worse for him, doesn't it? I just can't think of anything at the moment which actually makes it feel like he's done anything good or at any point in the race. He was struggling. He was stuck behind one of Zhou Guanyu for a significant period in the race. I know he was on the harder tyre, but that car, it's so good. They should be just wiping the floor with someone like that. Max Verstappen would have been past him with a blink. I can bet you that for nothing. What's going on with Perez? Where is this pace? What's gone on? He really needs to sort this one out. And the second of the 3 bad is the 2 Mercedes. Them 2 colliding together, really, I think we would have seen a fantastic battle with Mercedes and McLaren, them 2 looking right on it. Russell did well to come back to 4th place, but he was sort of 3rd place before that incident, and so I think it would have been great to see, the 2 McLaren boys and the 2 Mercedes really work together and battle it out against each other. We might not have seen this McLaren, team order then effectively of saying to Norris, no, you hold back, because they would have had to go for it and they would have been in a fight with the Mercedes. And so that's a real shame that we kind of lost out on that, didn't we? They took each other out on the first corner. I'm surprised that worked out the way it did. Could Russell have done a little bit more and just sort of conceded potentially that place, because he knew, it's all about the team game. Hamilton was on the softer tyres. He's more than a halfway along outside of him. He actually hit the rear of his wheel as well, didn't he? But from where Hamilton came out on that soft on the outside, I do think it is Hamilton's fault, where he sort of just squeezed Russell and he didn't really have anywhere to go, but it was a real shame. Russell dropped back all the way to the back of the grid, came and pitted, got a front wing, and to finish 4th actually just shows how good that Mercedes would have been this weekend. Real shame there, that one. And then the third of the 3 bad is Logan Sargent. He's had a shocking weekend, hasn't he? Poor in qualifying on Friday, poor yesterday, and today is the first time probably I've ever seen a driver retire from the race ill. He reported that on about lap 35 and then retired by lap 42. I know there was a number of other drivers that said they really struggled. George Russell also saying that he almost fainted in the car. It was that hot. Another driver as well, sort of throwing up in the car. It's been that difficult of a weekend. But when you've got a race seat that you're trying to hold on and fight for, you don't want to be sort of retiring early because you're not feeling great. You don't get too many chances in Formula 1, and he's kind of just got to take every race as he can, but he's going to his home country, and Austin is the next race next weekend. So not this weekend, weekend after. We've got a week break. He'll be hoping for some home comforts and bring about a decent result. But overall, I think this sprint race weekend here at Qatar has been absolutely fantastic. The sprint day was brilliant yesterday. Friday's qualifying was great, wasn't it, to see the two McLarens out of sorts. Perez also on Friday, and in the race today, helped a little bit by this tyre scenarios. It was a bit of an odd one, just being able to do 18 laps on any set of tyres, whether that was hard, medium or soft, was a bit strange. So we got a bit of a strange race. It felt like that throughout this race, with that just looming over, wasn't it? Any drivers, and then we had another load of track limit penalties, didn't we? Even in the race, it cost Perez a place. It cost Gasly some points this weekend. So you know, even the on the radio, Perez, I think he got about three track limit penalties. His race engineer coming and saying, look, this is really costing us our race here, and it did cost him points in the end. Not massive points. He was nowhere near Max Verstappen this weekend, but yeah, that's something again. We see that odd tracks, don't we? We've seen it at Austria, we've seen it here again today, and it's strange that we seem to keep getting it over and over. Is it something corner specific, track specific? I'm not sure. I know you need to have some sort of guidelines and a rule to say you need to stay within tracks, but are we going too far with it potentially? But yeah, there we go. Watch out for the driver review video that's going to come out later in the week. I'm recording from, like you've seen, various spots on my way this weekend. So yeah, thanks for bearing with me with the audio, and also me comment on the videos for Friday and possibly yesterday, but hopefully today's better. But yeah, thanks for watching. Watch out for the driver rating video coming late next week, and then we'll be back for the Austin race preview the week after that. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. I'll see you next time.